Hi there, Destiny here, and welcome back to the Creators MBA podcast. I'm super excited that you are joining me here today. And this podcast is for digital product creators who want to build businesses that actually last, even in today's AI crazy market. And today, I want to talk about something that I have been studying lately that completely reframed how I think about building a digital product business. And it started with a question I've been asking myself about brands that have been around for decades. And the question is exactly what makes them stick. And today we're going to analyze someone in this, what I would define in this creator, expert, and media space, someone who's been doing this for decades and built one of the most durable content businesses I have ever studied. And this is Dave Ramsey. So let's talk about what he has actually built. And most people think that Dave Ramsey's success comes from teaching personal finance. But if you take a step back and look at the whole business model, you realize that's not quite right. His business isn't built on financial advice. It's built on a framework, specifically the baby steps. There's 7 of them. There's a clear progression between the steps, and each one of them leads to the next. And here's what it makes it so powerful for us to study. That one framework, this baby step framework, is the backbone of his entire product ecosystem. His radio show and his podcast introduce people to the baby steps for free. His books go deeper into that same system. Financial Peace University is the guided course version. And then he has coaching and live events that are his premium personalized version of this. But it's one framework. It's packaged at every price point, and it is serving the same customer at every stage of their journey. And that's not just good marketing. That is a very strong business model. And what's very interesting about this is that it didn't happen overnight. Ramsey spent years, really decades, consistently reinforcing that same system. He didn't chase trends. He didn't keep pivoting to new frameworks. He just kept going deeper on the one he already owned. Every book, every podcast episode, every live events, all of these roads lead back to the baby step framework. And that kind of consistency is what builds a brand that lasts. And it's something most digital product creators never quite achieve. Not because they're not working hard enough, but because they don't have a central system to be consistent about. So when I really sat with this whole study I was doing, one question kept coming up. Do I have a framework? Not just a niche, not just a content strategy, not just a list of tips that I'm teaching, a framework, a clear, repeatable system that organizes everything you teach and that your audience can use to understand where they are and what they need to do next. Because here's the thing that most online business owners missed. A framework isn't just a teaching tool. It's a business architectural tool. And when you have a clear framework, something very interesting happens. Your content starts making more sense because everything maps back to that same system. Your products start connecting because each one serves a different stage of the framework. And your audience starts to see you differently, not as someone who just sells courses or products, but as someone who owns a system that they want to be part of. And then your marketing gets easier because instead of constantly coming up with new angles, you just keep teaching the same framework from different entry points. And that's a completely different positioning than most online business owners have. And it's much harder to compete with. And I want to talk about what this looks like in practice. And I'm going to give you one of my own examples here, because I think this will make this a lot more concrete. The framework that I have built everything around in my personal brand, my Creators MBA portfolio, is the Creator Growth Flywheel Framework. And it has 5 stages: the attract stage, the engage stage, the nurture stage, the retain stage, and the advocacy stage. And it describes how digital product businesses actually grow. And more importantly, it gives my audience a way to see exactly where their business is breaking down. And because of that framework, every piece of content I create maps back to one of those stages. And every product I build solves a problem that lives inside one of those stages. And when someone comes into my world, they're not just buying into a program. They start to see their whole business through the lens of the Creators Growth Flywheel. And they start using that language. They start asking, which stage am I stuck in? Instead of wondering, why isn't this working? And that shift, going from that scattered frustration to a really clear diagnostic, is what a framework creates. And it makes you indispensable in a way that a collection of courses or a course portfolio never can. Now, this is the part that I really want you to sit with and think about, because I think it's one of the most underappreciated benefits of building around a framework. And most digital product creators, they build products reactively. Someone asks you for something, you build it. A topic feels hot in the market, you launch it. You see what a competitor is selling, you create your own version. And that result is usually a scattered product portfolio that doesn't tell a coherent story. And buyers can feel that. They don't know what to buy first. They don't know where one product ends and another begins. And there's no natural next step pulling them deeper into your world. And a framework fixes all of this, because when you have a clear system with distinct stages or steps, each stage becomes a natural product opportunity. And I want you to think about it this way. You could have a free lead magnet that introduces your framework at a high level. It gives the people the map. It shows them the big picture. Then you have a low-cost product. Maybe it's like a tripwire type offer, a mini course that goes deep on one specific stage of your framework, something that people can implement quickly and see results fast. And then you have a core program or a membership that walks through the entire system step by step. That is your flagship. That is your signature offer. That's the one product you could build a business around if you had to. And then a membership for people who want ongoing support as they implement, because a framework is never one and done. There's always a next level. There's always a new layer to work through. And then if it fits your model, you could do a coaching or consulting offer for people who want personalized help applying the framework to their specific situation. In this scenario, you are not guessing on what to build next. Your framework tells you. And because every product is part of the same system, Your buyers naturally want to go deeper. One purchase leads to the next, not because you're pushing them, but because the progression is logical. They can see the next path. And this is what creates a real product ecosystem instead of a random product catalog. And it's exactly what Ramsey built. Every product he has exists to serve someone at a different stage of their baby steps journey. The framework created the roadmap. The products fit in the roadmap. Now, here's where I want to get really practical with you, because I know some of you are listening to this and thinking, okay, Destiny, I get it. I need a framework, but I have no idea what mine is. And I want to offer you some reassurances here. Most creators, and you probably fit in this category, already have a framework. You just haven't named it yet. It's embedded in how you work with clients. It shows up in the advice you give them over and over again. It's the thing they always come back to. It's the lens they can't help see everything through. So rather than trying to invent a framework from scratch, I would encourage you to really delve into what you're already doing and pull from that. And here are 4 questions that can help you do this. And question number 1 is, what is the transformation you help people achieve? So don't answer this with a topic. I want you to answer it with a before and an after. To give you an example, you could say something like, before working with me, my audience is stuck in a specific situation. So whatever that situation is. And after working with me, they can do this specific thing or feel this specific way. That transformation is the spine of your framework, and everything your framework teaches should serve that before and after. Okay, question number 2, what are the stages or steps someone moves through to get to that result? And I want you to think about the people you've helped through your courses, your coaching, your content. What did they have to figure out first? What came second? What was the thing that they always got stuck on? There's usually a natural sequence here. It might be 3 steps. It might be 5. It might be 7 steps like the Dave Ramsey baby steps, but there's always a logical order, and that order is your framework. And question number 3, what do people get wrong about this topic, and how does your framework correct it? This is where your framework gets a point of view, because a framework isn't just a list of steps. It's a way of seeing things. It challenges common assumptions. It reframes a problem. Ramsey's framework challenges the assumption that you need to optimize everything financially. And he tells people to pay off the smallest debt first, not the highest interest rate one, because the psychological win matters more than the math. That's a point of view. And it's a controversial one, but that controversy is part of what makes his framework memorable. So think about, what's the thing you believe about your topic that most people get wrong? That belief is probably at the heart of your framework. And question number 4, can you name it? And this sounds simple, but it matters more than most people realize. A named framework is a measurable framework. It gives people something to attach to, something to share, something to search for. The baby steps, which is what Dave Ramsey have. I have the Creator's Growth Flywheel. There you go. Donald Miller has the Story Brand Framework. There's another one out there called The One Thing. These names do real marketing work. They make the framework feel like something, a system, a method, an approach, rather than just giving general advice. And you don't have to have the perfect name right away, but I want you to start thinking about it. Okay, I want to close with one more thought because I think it's important. Building around a framework isn't just a product strategy, it's a long-term brand strategy. Every time you teach your framework, you reinforce it. Every piece of content that references it will make it more familiar. Every student who gets result from it becomes evidence that it works. And over time, your name and your framework start to become synonymous. And that's when the real compounding kicks in. People don't just find you, they find your system. And they come to you specifically because they want to learn that system. That's the kind of brand that doesn't depend on algorithms. It doesn't fall apart when a platform changes, and it doesn't require you to constantly reinvent yourself. And I think that's very important in the world of AI that we are living in, because the framework is the business. Everything else, the content, the products, the community, is just different ways of serving people who want what your framework offers. And Dave Ramsey understood that. And I think that's why, decades later, his business is still growing. The question is, what is your framework? So that's what I want to leave you with today. Not a to-do list, just one question that is worth sitting with seriously. Does your digital product business have a clear framework at its center? If yes, great. Now ask yourself, are all of your products and content actually mapping back to it, or have you drifted away from it over time? If no, but I've never really named it, I want you to use those 4 questions I walked through and start pulling from what's actually there. And then think about, what's the transformation you create? What are the stages someone moves through to get there? What do you believe that most people get wrong, and what would you call it? That's the work. And I think it's probably one of the most important strategic work that you will do this year. Thanks so much for listening today. If you have any questions whatsoever about your framework or naming your framework or the steps in your framework, shoot me back an email. If you're not on our emails list, you will definitely want to jump on. I will put all of the links in the show notes, and have a great rest of your day. Bye for now. Thanks for listening all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. If you love the show, I'd appreciate a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.